Oh, good day, everybody. All right. So if you hear chime in, say whether you can actually go and hear my voice just like we always do and go from there, make sure everything's okay. Um, if you're chiming in and you're going to be asking questions, please read the sign over the top of my shoulder here. YouTube has decided to implement a takedown policy, and yet again, I'm under 100,000 subscribers, so therefore they don't care. So if you're going to post up a question that has to do with the situation going on in the world, please read the sign and post accordingly. Otherwise than that, it's free range most of the time, as we usually discuss, and whatever's going on, whatever you feel like asking questions about. Otherwise, I'll just end up babbling at you like I usually do. So welcome to a Wednesday night live chat, and we'll see what we can get going here. Usually we end up into about 30 people or so most of the time, and hopefully we'll hit that point tonight. YouTube's gotten really strange in the last week or so, and so we'll see what goes on. And since for some reason it's always a question that pops up as to what it is that I am drinking tonight, it's going to be vanilla chai, if that thing will focus. Focus! Why you no focus? Okay, fine. Tonight it's time twinings, something from London tea that's vanilla chai with a little bit of sugar. I've also got some orange soda here tonight. This is the horrifying knockoff orange soda that is from Dollar General. Actually, speaking of the TP tuberculosis, what store in your area? I'll be curious to see everybody chime in just for the heck of it. So put your state and the store in the area that seems to be the most well stocked. In our area, it's really weird. It seems to actually be the Dollar General stores that are the best stocked in our area for stuff. There is a local hardware store that is up there, and it's up in Swanville, which is a little bit up from us, called Swanville Grocery. And for some reason, they're absolutely utterly stocked. Everybody is hitting all the Walmarts and everything else, but for some reason, their store is stocked entirely. But yeah, so write in your state and what store seems to be the best stocked in your area out of curiosity. We've got a Connecticut Dollar General apparently got added. Let's see, what do we got going on? I'm the one that emailed you about the carb for Gibson, and it works great. Thank you for the link. Hey, awesome. I'm glad I could go and help you out with getting your carburetor figured out. That's one of my favorite things I like to do. So for anybody that wants to go and send me an email, I'm going to write it in the chat right now. So you can copy and paste it if you like in order to be able to send me something. It's Maine, as in the state, mud, mower at yahoo.com. So I'll post it right there so that you can copy and paste it if you would like and be able to send me an email. I actually just got done helping a guy find a Kohler coil. I just sent him a link for that. And, you know, just if I end up helping you, please do me the 5 seconds worth of, you know, nicety of ordering it through the Amazon link if you can. You know, if it's a $20 carburetor, it usually kicks back about 50 cents to me. You know, if it's a larger item, like I can't say enough how thankful I am for all of you that go through and you purchase the welders through the link. The Go Plus welders that I have listed, and boy, do I miss mine. I miss mine absolutely. I've got another brand that is getting really good reviews in that $100 welder MIG category, that once all of this TP tuberculosis ends up rolling over, I'm going to pick up in order to go and show you guys and see how it works. They're getting really good reviews on Amazon, but the reviews look rather staged. So I'd like to go and put it through and see what's going on there. So yeah, just as far as the welders go, if you guys are purchasing those welders, I actually get almost a $9 kickback on those. Straight up, thank you. Really appreciate it. Let's see. What are the rules to register a lawn tractor as an ATV? Okay, so Damien, we're going to cover this in the fact that it depends on your state. So here in the state of Maine, an ATV, you can register anything as long as it fits within a certain guide of limits. It cannot be wider than 60 inches. It must have 3 to 4 wheels. It must have a spark respirator and all of that. So here in the state of Maine, you can register anything basically as an ATV, as long as it's got 3 wheels, 4 wheels, and you can go in with a serial number of some sort for it. It is registrable. As far as I know, there's about 16 to 18 other states that's doable in right now. There are states that specifically state that you cannot register a lawn tractor, so you need to check to find out whether your state is one of them. You're in Ontario, Canada. In that case, go find a YouTuber called Doc Sprocket. Doc Sprocket is in Ontario. I know that he runs his machine on some ATV trails. I don't know what the registration policy is up in Ontario, and I don't know whether his machine is running on public trails or whether he's running on private. But Doc Sprocket is in Ontario, Canada. Hit him up. He's a really good guy. He's very polite, but he's a very busy man, so don't be surprised if you got to wait a little bit. He's the one who runs Sprocket's Garage in the Facebook group on Facebook. Go figure. Wow. I am so tired. I've been just running around all over the place and trying to go and get everything cleaned up around the yard. And I mean, for those of you who follow, you know what happened to me and what happened here at this place. And finally, things are starting to unthaw. And the problem is they trash the place and everything is still frozen into the ground. So basically, every day that it's above 40 degrees, I run out and I pull on a little bit of stuff and I move it around a little bit and see what actually finally came loose from the permafrost and all of the ice and everything. And slowly getting to the point where we're starting to clean things up around here and be able to have the place presentable. So it's getting good. On another note, with the TP tuberculosis thing going on, holy cow, have the tire kickers absolutely come out on the on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and everything else. I mean, I don't know how it is for you guys, but have you been trying to sell anything on Marketplace lately? It is insane, the tire kickers that are coming out. You know, later on, if we get more people in and stuff, I'll tell you a story about a guy who showed up today in order to go and supposedly wanted to buy a trailer I had for sale. Holy cow. I have never had somebody actually show up and be so rude in my life. I mean, I have dealt with some pretty interesting people, but that just was a whole new thing. Yeah, later on, I'll tell you about that. TB, you need more subs. I don't know how you don't have more than 100,000. So, yeah. So the thing about YouTube and hitting the sub mark and stuff like that, is that when it comes to YouTube, if you do not have a trending topic channel, YouTube's algorithm just does not push you. It just doesn't. And so unless you somehow have gotten tied in with another channel that is large enough that the algorithm associates you with them, then it doesn't bother doing presentations of your videos to within higher channels. And so it just is really hard to break that 100,000 mark if you're not doing something that is a mainstream trend. That's why you get a lot of channels that they'll hit about 10,000, they'll stall out, And then all of a sudden they'll start doing, you know, really wonky videos that are whatever's in the trending cycle and all of that. And that's because they're trying to get into that trending algorithm in order to be able to gain subscribers. Um, so, and the real reality is, you know, I like 60, probably close to 60,000 of the 100,000 subscribe, 60,000 of my 80, I think I'm almost at 84,000 subscribers right now. I don't check it very often. Um, Probably 60,000 to 50,000 or so of that is because of the gas powered Power Wheels, not the lawn tractor stuff and not the mud mower stuff. People subscribe to be able to see what's going on with the Power Wheel builds because of their kids. And that's the reason why it is my channel got labeled as for kids, no matter how many times I have tried to go and tell YouTube kids don't work with plasma cutters and welders and grinders. Like it's absolutely stupid, but whatever. Which is why it is we started the RCG racing. Let's see. Do you still have stickers for sale? Do you still have stickers? Oh, yes, I still have stickers. Actually, I stopped selling them. When I realized how stupidly overpriced everybody was pricing stickers, I just stopped bothering to go and sell them. Another mud mower YouTuber was selling two for like $4 on eBay a few years ago and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, we'll do what we used to go and do on the live chats. Let's bring that back. I'm not sure how the postal service is right now, but I'll tell you what, including you guys in Ontario, let's make it 5. From right now at 6:10 p.m., the first 5 people to send me an email with your name and your address correctly written out in an email, and I'm going to say correctly, because apparently writing your own address in order to send you something in the mail has become something people can't do nowadays. Send me an email with your name, correct address, and I'll send you a couple of stickers depending on what this U.S. Postal Service is doing right now. Here in Belfast, Maine, everything has gotten shut down. The city hall is shut down. The transfer station is shut down other than taking trash. And guess what? They're still making you pay for the trash you're dropping off. Gotta love it. So they shut down the entire recycling side, but they're keeping open the paid for trash side. So now you've got to go and put your recycles, either you got to store them up for months or you got to put them in trash bags and then pay $3.50 to get rid of them. Yeah, somebody didn't decide to go and pay the bills somehow. Anyways, so yeah, gotta love it. So City Hall is shut down. The transfer station is only taking paid for trash. Every single restaurant in the area as of 6 p.m. As of 11 minutes ago in the state of Maine has been declared as a shutdown. No seating, no allowing anybody inside. If you have a takeout window, you are still allowed to serve, but there is like an 8 o'clock curfew that they're trying to put in. No bars are allowed to go and be open at this time to go and serve anything and stuff like that. You know, everybody's talking about, you know, the TP tuberculosis and how horrible it is that we're going to run out of food and everything else. It's not going to be the running out of food that's going to cause mass hysteria in society. It's going to be when we all run out of, when all of the alcoholics run out of all their alcohol and when all the crackheads run out of all of their snort and everything else. That's going to be what's going to cause the meltdown. That's when we're going to see interesting stuff happen in a couple of weeks. Because the thing is, at this point, they're shutting down anything that is a non-essential transport. So alcohol is a non-essential transport, no matter how you want to word it, and everything else. So it's going to be interesting. If you're one of the first 5 to go on email, I will go and send you a couple of stickers. Make sure to go and have your name and your address, and I will send you a couple of stickers, providing the Postal Service will let me. We'll see. For you guys in Ontario, I just heard that the federal government decided they're going to go and the federal government decided to go and shut down international travel and stuff to Canada and stuff. So I guess we'll go and see what happens with I guess we'll see what happens when it comes to sending you guys some stickers, because I know a bunch of you are in Nova Scotia, Ontario. I had to send one to Virginia Islands, I think it was, a couple months or so ago. I had a really nice email. The guy sent me a really nice email. He's got a Craftsman LT1000. He uses it in a boatyard and sent me a cool email about it, so I sent him a couple of stickers. Let's see. All right, let's see. What do we got going on here? Hot Rod Gavin says, I have 8 mowers. Okay, Hot Rod Gavin. Now, let's play the same question that the city of Belfast loves to play with me. You have how many running mowers? That's what they like to go and pull on me. Apparently, my girlfriend managed to go and end up with some time for a break at work. She just dropped in. Hey, Jesse, I love you. So yeah, so as far as the town is concerned, how many mowers do you have, and how many junk pieces do you have that they can decide to go and fine you for? That's the real question. That's the issue that I end up with here, is I have to go and show that it's an in progress processing area, which is part of the reason why it is that I have to go and make sure that I move everything along pretty soon here. Love you too, Care Bear. I hope you're doing good at work. Everybody give Jessie a big round of applause. She works at a nursing home and she's helping out with everything there. And she has to go in and get temperature checked on the forehead every single day and stuff like that. It's like she's trying to go and deal with getting into an airport. It's quite the thing. You know, hats off to her for going in and helping with that and doing that job. Let's see. Been buying and selling on there. Oh, on Marketplace. Yeah, holy cow. I mean, seriously. So I'll tell you the story of this guy who showed up today. And in many years of buy, swap, and sell, I have only asked, in 7 years, I think I've only like straight out told somebody they can go to hell and stuff it and get off my property, maybe 3 times in 7 years of doing this. And I had this guy show up in order to take a look at this trailer. Now, the trailer I value at about $600. I've got it listed at $400 because I'm not using it. I just want it off of my I want it off of my property because I'm not using it. I don't want it just to go and, you know, rot into the ground. So so instead of letting it rot in the ground, I got it listed for $400. This guy shows up and he's in a newer truck. Like, obviously the guy spent money in order to show, hey, I got money, newer truck. You know the type. The one that's got the chrome on it that obviously is never going to go and see off-road, and it's got every badge in order to say it's special edition, stupid, whatever. You know, that type of guy. And most of the time I immediately shut down negotiations with those people anyway, because I know they're the type of person I'm going to ask to get off my property. So this guy sits there and we're looking at the trailer, and he gets in and he does his little hem-haw, looking underneath it, look around it, all this other kind of stuff. And he gets up and he fishes around in his pocket and he pulls out $100 bill. I've got it listed for $4. He pulls out 100. And he looks around my property and he looks at me and he goes, I can tell that you're hard up for cash, so here's a $100 bill. No. I told him that my pond has catfish in it that are hungry and his truck looks as if it would sell really well as parts on eBay, and he had 1 minute to get the hell off my property. Yep. Turned around, walked for the garage in order to go in because I haven't had somebody lowball and be that rude in a long time. Wow. I just could not believe it. But those people are coming out of the woodwork right now. I've had so many rude offers when it comes to selling some stuff. It just has been awful. I yeah, my girlfriend just chimed in. He's lucky that she was at work. No kidding. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I've dealt with a lot of people. That was absolutely the epitome of low human. Amazing. And I had one guy try to offer me a, I think it was a 10 gauge single shot shotgun, claiming it was worth $400. And I've had so many different offers that are just insane. But anyways, I'm sorry. I'll get off my rant and I'll come back here and we'll see. Yes, honey, I'll eat tuna fish sandwiches at midnight. That sounded so wrong. I don't know about you guys, but I don't eat very much during the day, but for some reason at night when I finally relax, I just eat everything in sight. I don't eat much during the day. I eat snacky food and stuff like that. And then Jessie, my girlfriend, gets home at about 8 o'clock at night sometimes or later. And the moment she comes home and we finally start relaxing, all of a sudden I just eat everything in the house. I can't help it. I'm just one of those people. Until work is done and everything relaxes, there's like 8 or 10 hours that I snack. I hardly eat anything. Let's see. I got 2 running tractors and 20 total. I think the worst I was at is, I think it was about 3 years or so ago. I literally did not shoot subscriber update videos for almost a month or so, because if you had have panned around my entire yard, I would have ended up with some sort of DOT violation, junkyard clause, whatever. I had close to, I think it was 33 lawn tractors on this 2-acre piece of property at one point. And I quit picking up free machines. The price in scrap metal plummeted and everybody was getting a hold of me in order to get rid of machines, because the scrapyard, by the time you hauled it all the way there, you were only getting paid like $3 a machine. So they were just free everywhere. I couldn't believe it. And I think I was at 33 machines at one point. I'm at 13, I think, right now. I'll have to count, actually. I haven't done a count in a while. But I'm waiting for the TP tuberculosis to go away, because I've got 5 lined up right now if I could just go get them, but nobody wants anybody to go and come around. I'm tiny, but I have a temper. Yes, I know. Hey, now that it's safe, Jessie actually just got done doing a photo shoot. I think that she has a couple of the photos up on her Instagram right now. You guys you guys want to see a couple of photo shoots from her latest Instagram post? I think she looks absolutely gorgeous. Okay. Um let's see. Could you do a turbo lawn tractor build? See, there's turbo for real and then there's turbo for show. Anybody can do a turbo for show. That just is the way it is. There's a ton of guys um, that have already figured out that you can take a Saab, I think it's a Saab 9000 turbo and a small Volvo turbo, if I remember right, and you can spin them up for show. But as far as for actual go, I've never seen anybody actually, honest to God, prove that they managed to turbo a lawn tractor for actual going power. And before I end up offending anybody hardcore, because I know that there's a guy named Bob Morris that did it and a couple others. Um, the reason why I'm saying that nobody's ever been able to prove it is because I've never seen anybody actually take a machine and, let's say, drag race it with NA with no turbo, just naturally aspirated, and then drag race the same exact machine on the same exact drag strip with a turbo to prove that it actually did something. And that's my thing about the whole turbo lawn tractor fad. Is sure, I can go rob a turbo off of a Saab 9000 or whatever they are. I can go rob a turbo off of a small Subaru four banger, and I can spin it up and I can make it go all you want all day, and I can make it look pretty. But I've never seen anybody actually clock one in and do a time trial or do some sort of dyno testing capability. That's my problem with the whole turbo thing, is nobody's ever really proven that it works and that it can work. So yeah, if I had an opposed twin, because the thing about it is, if I was going to do it, okay, let's throw out the speculation that it's worthless, and let's pretend that we actually want to do it. We'll go with that. If I was going to do it, I would specifically target a horizontal shaft opposed twin, a horizontal shaft opposed twin on something like a Sears Suburban or something like that. And the reason being is a horizontal opposed twin, you've got a top load carburetor on there, and it would work more the same way that something like the old 305 Chevys that they used to turbo to about 5 to 8 psi used to load up and stuff like that. The problem is you have to build a carburetor to work with a turbocharge also. And so then the other question is you could do a draft through turbo build, which I've never seen anybody decide to go and do also. Because, you know, if you do a draft through, then you wouldn't have to tune the carburetor to be able to go and take the pressure of the turbo, which is a possibility. That's probably what I would do. I probably would decide to go and do a draft through carburetor setup if I was going to go and do a turbo. Because the thing is you're not going to pull enough gas through it to really burn out any bearings or anything. Yeah, that's what I would probably do. You know, we get into the lawn tractor drag racing over on RCG Racing, and we might have to try and do that. Because then I would have the setup in order to prove as to whether it actually honestly makes a difference. That's a good idea, guys. Thank you. Oh, let me see. Let's see here. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Do, do, do. Oh, you collect and fix them. Okay, I get it now. So you work on lawn tractors like I do. You do a collect and fix basis and stuff like that. Do you have like junkyard laws in your area? Um, Basically in the state of Maine, there's like a preset junkyard law of 3 dead vehicles. And as far as lawn tractors are concerned, they count it kind of like a 3-to-1 to a 4-to-1 ratio, depending on who it is wants to be an inappropriate term in evaluating your property, if you know what I mean. Just out of curiosity, if you don't mind posting up something. Yeah, free machines have changed a lot in the last 3 years. That's part of the reason why it is you'll see most of my lawn tractor hunt videos. Um, the machines are I'm having to pay for more machines instead of getting freebies nowadays. And that's because there's a lot more people that do what I do around here now than there was a few years ago. Back when I first started doing it consistently about 5 years or so ago, every single weekend I was doing it, I probably only paid for about 1 in 4. And now in the last probably 2 or 3 years, I probably get maybe one freebie every couple of weeks out of maybe one freebie out of 6, maybe. Um, Junk price dropped to the point that people sat on them. And because they sat on them, they refused to give up the idea that it's worth money. And so you got to kind of wedge the door open with something, and for some reason $50 seems to be just about the right amount in order to wedge the door open with. Um, I don't pay unless it will turn over. It's got a hand turn over, or else it's worthless to me. It is what it is. Big Dave, I totally get it. I love going to go get machines with John in the truck with me. I don't know what it is about that kid. That kid just gets freebies like you would not believe. We've shown up to places and they have given him saws. They have given him rototillers just because he said it looked cool. Um, he ended up with a have a heart trap because he was talking with the guy about how we had chickens and stuff like that. I don't know what it is about John, but they just throw him freebies one right after another. Me, on the other hand, I got an ugly mug. I got to pay for everything most of the time now. Uh, hey, old school repair shop. Good to have you. Hope you're doing well. Hot Rod says he doesn't think there are junkyard laws here in South Carolina. Well, cool. It's really weird. Like that kind of stuff across the country is really strange. Um, I know some places where they have acre upon acre upon acre of dead doornail stuff out there, and it's perfectly fine, totally legal and stuff like that. Up here in the state of Maine, though, the moment you get over 3 vehicles, you're just asking for it. It's really weird. Um, the only way around it here in the state of Maine, at least, is that you have to present that you are actively restoring the vehicle that is the fourth dead one, and you're allowed to have 1 or 2 vehicles that are parts to the restoration. So therefore, if say I had a Ford Ranger, I could have a couple of parts machines to the restoration Ranger as long as I can prove that I actively have purchased parts for it within, I think it's the last 6 months or something like that. So it gets really weird up here in the state of Maine. There's a bunch of little like niches and crannies that you can manipulate the law, but it's not perfect. Okay. Yeah, we're going to try some of this Cover Valley orange junk. Actually, technically I tried it the other night and it tastes like well, Jesse words it as it tastes like watery jello. I word it as it tastes like old school Tang. Do you guys remember old school Tang? Like with the advertisements of the chimpanzee bouncing around in the orange coat and stuff like that. I'm really showing my age to talk about that one. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, what we got going on? I have 9 mowers and did pulley swaps on 4 of them. They range from 14 miles per hour to 23 miles per hour. I guess I'm going through my teenage years again at the age of 60. Pray for me. You know, I I really like that like 20 mile per hour range personally. I've driven well, let's see. The original main mud mower at one point, I had it that it would do 26 to 28 miles per hour at one point. And I ended up actually within about a week of that, I pulley swapped it back to what I originally had it. That 20 to 21 mile per hour range seems to be like the perfect little mixing point for being on tractors and running them around and bouncing them off of stuff. You can really cruise in the straightaways, but if you drop a couple of gears, it brings you down to about 15 miles per hour, and you got to be doing something really stupid to flip them. I mean, case in point, my last video over on RCG Racing. Did you guys see that? If you watch that slow motion, you'll see where I hit that stupid basketball hoop. I can't wait for that thing to go away. I actually have an idea for that, but I hit that stupid basketball hoop and it trigged my front tire. If you watch the slow motion, it trigs the front tire and the tire actually comes up off the ground. You can't quite see it in the GoPro footage because of that little speck of mud, but it actually came up off the ground. And then when it settled in, it trigged and that flipped me. But yeah, it's about that 15 to 21 miles per hour seems to be the sweet spot on most machines. Like I said, I've been up to 28 and I've been down to about 14, 15. And the problem with the 14 and 15 is if you get into the mud, it doesn't seem to clear the tires good enough. Um, you really got to get up into the more of the 17, 18 miles per hour seems to be that sweet spot right in there. But that's just my personal experience. Everybody's got their own part to go and add in and stuff like that. But yeah. Let's see. Next to the trash dump where I live, it's 3 roads over. I found an 04 Husqvarna GTH 2548. They wanted $25. It has a Kohler V-twin that caught fire, but it has nothing else damaged but the wiring. For 25 bucks, I'd honestly risk it. If it was me at 25 bucks, the first thing I'd do is I would pop that harness right off of it, and I would pop the harness, I would immediately pop the top of the motor, and I would find your kill wire connection to that coil, and I would immediately disconnect it and see if you got spark. If you got spark from there, everything else is pretty simple as long as it didn't manage to go and melt the intake or something. And even then, you could fabricate one easy enough. Now, the other problem you might run into, though, is that might be one of the 25 horsepower motors that has the CDI set up in it. And if it does have the CDI, go back to my email address, Maine is in the state, mudmower@yahoo.com. Send me an email, and I will forward you a link. And I will send you a link in order to be able to get the coil pack. It's a twin pack in order to convert it to regular coils. And you can take a look at that as to whether it's worth it. It's about $100 to risk it, but you know, if the rest of it looks good, it might be worth the risk. What's it say on your mug? The mug says Redneck Computer Geek on one side, and it says cheap welder, $1 million ideas. You can actually get these through the Teespring order thing that's in underneath all of the videos if you're interested in buying one. The kickback to me is like $1 a mug or something like that. The shirts down there, the kickback is, I think it's $2.50 to be really honest. I priced mine so that they're just barely above what the available price was, and called it good. Let's see. What do we got going on? I don't think old school Tang tastes any different than new school Tang. So in other words, I wouldn't like new school because I hated the old school. Old school says I do 15 miles per hour on my hot rod mower. Yeah, I've debated a hot rod mower build a couple of times. This whole TP tuberculosis thing manages to go and get over and done with, and maybe we'll see what we can do about doing some sort of like hot rod style build. Because I get a lot of requests for that, actually. Hi, let's see here. Oh yeah, I promised you guys a photo. Let me see here. What do we got? You guys want to see a photo? I'm going to get in trouble for this. Ready? Isn't that nice? She does photo shoots and everything, and does them for she does them for her Athena stuff also. Um it's part of her respect yourself and show yourself and whatever, as part of doing her Athena sales and stuff like that. So I really support her doing her photo shoots. I think that they come out really nice and they're very classy from, you know, that's what I think. But there you go. Now I'm going to get in trouble, guys. It's all your fault. But yeah, if you guys want to go and follow her on her Athena stuff, feel free to do such. And I actually I actually use, where is it? Okay, so I am not going to say this product's name out loud, okay? And please don't put it in the comments. I don't need to get YouTube banned, okay? But this stuff is amazing. I use it on my feet all the time. And if you have really, really sweaty feet, it works really, really well to dry them out and keep your boots good. So please feel free not to type what the name is, and I'm going to show it to the camera, okay? So there you go. I absolutely love this stuff. It is amazing. And I totally, totally, if you guys need something for that, this is awesome. For years, I've used baby powder and all kinds of other stupid stuff for my feet and things like that. And this has the stupidest name anybody could ever come up with. I mean, why? Why in the world would you name it that? But it's awesome stuff. So, you know, if you feel like it, go sponsor her and purchase it through her web link, because I can't say enough about it. I love it. I'm going to sound absolutely totally on the other side of the fence by saying this, but a lot of their products are really great. I enjoy the shampoos and stuff that she gets from there, and I totally support her on it. And it is what it is. You know, sometimes you got to go and be willing to let her decide to splash you with some stupid frequency stuff. It makes them happy and whatever. How many TP tuberculosis cases are in Maine right now? Currently, before I got on this chat, the last I knew, there were 16. There are 8 or 9 cases that are currently about a 3-hour drive away from here, and there are a group of about 8 cases that are in the Knox area, which is about an hour drive away from my house, about 45 minutes, depending on how you go. There actually is potentially stuff in the town that I live in. It turns out that there may or may not have been some sort of transit person that was involved in the school system here, and so there's a question as to whether people that worked at or attended the Belfast High School may or may not have been exposed. And so we're waiting to see that pan out right now. So that literally means that I've got it going on within, if the Belfast High School had an infection, I've literally got it going on 1.5 miles away from my house right now. So yeah, it's a real thing here in where I'm at, and everything is shutting down. Yeah, it's real, unfortunately. And thank you very much for sticking to this. Hopefully that means that we won't end up with this video getting banned off of here. What is the fastest you would ever like to go on a tractor? Actually, what I planned on doing before the TP tuberculosis decided to break out is I planned on going to the 1/8 drag strip at Winterport and going to the 1/8 drag strip at Winterport and drag racing there. They have agreed that they will let me run in the ATV class, but I have to meet certain spec ratings as far as racing there is concerned. The other problem is they require full fire suit. They require a helmet that is of a certain rating in order to be able to run. They will allow you to run in a full leather crash motorcycle suit, but at the price of a crash motorcycle suit, you might as well just plain buy a fire suit to run in. So in order for me to run there, I've got to invest a lot more money than what is currently feasible. As far as my hopes on what mile per hour I would like to make it, my goal was to see if we could manage to go and break into the 35s into the 40s consistently. A lot of people, the reason why I'm saying 35 to 40 consistently is, yet again, there is a lot of talk across Facebook and across YouTube on supposed 35 to 40 mile per hour runs. And I say supposed because it's really easy to manipulate a camera and make it look as if your buddy that is driving in the car next to you, that you're supposedly pulling away from him and stuff like that. And a lot of that is just timing. They do it in Fast and the Furious and Gone in 60 Seconds and stuff like that. Most people don't realize most of Fast and the Furious, the car stuff, was actually shot only driving at upwards of 35 miles per hour. It wasn't actually shot at 100 miles per hour or something like that. You'd have to be stupid. Most of those stunts are actually shot at around 25 to 30 miles per hour, and then they're sped up or they're manipulated by camera shot in order to make them look faster. And so I want to do something where our goal is to hit that 35 to 40 mile per hour mark and to make it a consistent showable at a drag strip. Like I said, the drag strip here is 1/8 of a mile. And so that's what we'd like to go and focus on and be able to do. Let's see. My mud mower runs at 24 miles per hour. Yeah, 24 is more than achievable. It's just you're asking for that one last over of a bump in order to be able to throw you. That's the reason why it is I build my machine to run at about 21 or so. For the most part, I have found that I can nail something on the back tire and I can recover at about 20 miles per hour most of the time. Obviously, considering my last video over on RCG Racing, that doesn't always happen. But that's my go-to that I tell everybody. Let me see. How about a 6x6 Gator style with dump bed, one of my future builds? Actually, one of my ongoing build ideas that I've been pursuing more and more is that hydraulic shaft. I just had a total brain glitch there. You ever have that happen? Let me try that again. Shaft-driven hydraulic Cub Cadets there with large 20-inch rear tires are starting to consistently show up in my area with rotted out decks. So I've been debating a lot about whether I could take one of those and convert it into a truckster, as a lot of us call it. A lot of us call them mini trucksters, or we call them mower trucksters or something like that. I like that term. If you know what a truckster is, I think it's a very fitting term considering trucksters usually don't go above about 35 miles per hour. They usually have speed limiters in them, and they usually run an engine that's just barely bigger than a lawn tractor motor. Um, so if I can get a hold of another one of those shaft drives, the last shaft drive one that I got a hold of, I really debated it, but I couldn't turn down selling it for $700 when I bought it for 50. I had 120 into it if you added parts, and me buying it for $50 and the $10 in gas it cost me to go get it. I had about 120 to 150 into it. I sold it for 700. I just couldn't turn it down. Um, so if we end up with one that's got a rotted out deck, we'll see what we can do. But that is what I would do if it was me that was building it. The other thing that I've debated numerous times is I have debated whether you could do the same thing the way that I built the gas-powered Power Wheel. And my point being is that if you had something that had a horizontal shaft, you could stick the horizontal shaft motor a little bit further on the front of the machine and get it more over the top of the front wheels. You could shaft drive it back, and you could put it into a geared transmission like I did on the gas-powered Power Wheel, and then you could be able to have the truckster rear end pivot at just barely above the top of that transmission in the back. So I do think it's doable in a couple of different scenarios, but the problem that I have is that the current build mentality is to take a machine and stretch it about a foot and a half. And I don't want to stretch it a foot and a half. I want to stretch it a good solid 3.5 feet or so, so that I can take a dump bed off of one of those Craftsman dump trailers, and I can put a piano hinge on the lip of it, put a linear actuator at the front of it, and be able to dump that thing straight off the back and never have to break my back ever again. Something like that. That's my goal if I do it. All right, let's see. All right, we got to chime in that all of Wisconsin schools are shut down and Washington state schools have been closed since last Thursday. Considering how close you are to, yeah, the other side of the ocean, that doesn't surprise me. To be quite honest, I'm really surprised that they didn't shut down flights in that direction a lot sooner than they did. But, that just is what it is. Let's see. All right, let's see. How big of tires you're going to run? How big of tires are you going to run? I'm assuming we're talking about drag racing build. If I'm going to go and do a drag racing build, actually that ties in with what TK asked for a question. TK asked, what is the fastest that I could be using a Roper 633A? If I do a build, my goal is going to probably be a GT6000 with a 633 with a high-low. The reason being is because you can punch a high-low while it is in gear and while it is driving forward. And if that's the case, then it acts about the same as a 2-speed power glide transmission in a dragster would act. For those of you who don't know what a two-speed power glide is, it's one of the most common transmissions that are used in monster trucks, for example, and it was an extremely common drag racing transmission for years. So that would be what I would probably do. I would probably build something like a 633 with a high-low. I probably would try to go and see if I could hit that 40-mile-per-hour mark on it. The thing is we already know that an 820 that is done correctly is capable of breaking 90 miles per hour. It's been done. The world record is something like 86 miles per hour, but there's a clock-in record of him doing it in past 92, if I remember right. So we already know that the lawn tractor transmissions are capable of the speed, but that was on the salt flats, and that was being able to get a running start at the idea for almost a full entire mile. So what do I think that a Roper 633 is capable of? I'm going to bet, considering that I've seen them clock out into the 25 mile per hour range consistently, and I've seen a Roper 633 get paired up with a 1000cc Honda motorcycle motor, and I've seen them turn 36-inch super swampers and not blow up. I'm going to bet that thing would probably manage to go and make it into the 40s. At least that's what I'm going to bet. That's what I'm going to try if I get the chance. Junkyard Dog says, I'm working on trying to get one to consistently get 40. Yep, see, that seems to be the thing. The thing is, there is a lot of people out there are, boy, English is a hard language, isn't it? There are a lot of, there we go, people out there that claim that they've managed to go and clear the 35-mile-an-hour mark into the 40. The problem is, as far as I can tell, nobody's ever done it at a sanctioned drag strip, and nobody's ever done it with time slips to prove it. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's what they did. And, you know, it's all well and good to go and do it out on the back, you know, I-95, whatever, with your buddy in a pickup truck next to you claiming supposedly he's driving that fast. But I want to see it on a drag strip, and I want to see it consistently. I so badly want a dead shaft drive to build a racer. A what? Try that again. That didn't translate. Probably something I just don't know about. But, all right. Let's see. I have a 1972 Cub hydrostat that runs 18 miles per hour stock. Well, yeah, that's because you're back in 1972, where people had brains and they didn't have all kinds of safety switches because we all decided to get too stupid to be able to figure out what the brake pedal was. Man, I hate that. I can rewire most lawn tractors at this point down to a simple wiring harness in a matter of like an hour and eliminate all the stupid, dumb safety switches consistently now, because I just don't get it. It's a lawn tractor. You drive it around, you mow grass. I had a Cub Cadet that I was working on, I think it was last year, and I had a Cub Cadet I was working on last year that had 7 different safety switches. 7. Why? Nobody needs 7 safety switches. What stupidity requires 7 safety switches? You know, you got a spinning machete underneath you, and you have to be told not to be stupid and stick your fingers in the spinning machete of doom. Like, man, I hate people. Absolutely hate the stupidity in this world that we live in now. Anyways, moving on. That was my tirade. Let me see. Would I convert the Roper 633 to a chain drive? See, okay, let's touch on that. So the problem with going chain drive is that you're going to have to go chain drive to a clutch of some sort. And if you're going chain drive to a clutch of some sort, then you've got two choices. You either got to go to a CVT, or from the CV, or you've got to go to a centrifugal clutch. And the problem is your centrifugal clutch is only rated for about 20 horsepower on some of the bigger cheetahs. And I think the Juggernaut clutch is rated, I think it's a Juggernaut if I remember right, is rated for like 35 horsepower and stuff like that. And your CVTs are rated about the same and things. The thing is though, if you go to that CVT, that clutch type setup, if you're going to burn up something, you're going to burn up that clutch disc pack, or the clutch disc exterior piece, or you're going to burn up a really expensive belt. Whereas if I make it a pulley driven system with a standard lawn tractor, double clutching system or something like that, I can go on Amazon and I can bulk order PIX blue Kevlar belts. And as long as I make it so it uses a generic, like your 88s, your 88s, your 95s, something that is severely a generic size, you can buy them all day long, one right after another. You can buy them in bulk for like usually $12 to $14 a piece. I would rather burn the snot out of a $12 belt every race that I do. I'd rather make it so I can swap a $12 belt on for every single race than sit there and burn out an $80 cheetah clutch. I think the Juggernaut, I think I got that name right. The Juggernaut, I think right now is retailing for like 180 if I remember right. There's another clutch out there for shaft drive motors to a gear drive, which is like $160, and the clutch pack is another $120 if you burn it out. I would rather replace a $12 to $14 blue Kevlar belt every single race than burn out a $120 clutch every single race. That's just my personal take on it. The other thing is if you did a double over pulley setup, so you ended up with a double clutch, double pulley, double belt setup, I bet that would work. That would be my goal. That's what I would go for if it was me. And if somebody wants to do that before I get the chance, go for it. I'm totally free gaming that one. I want to see whether one of us can manage to do it. I don't care if it's me that does it first. Go for it. Am I going to go and make my girlfriend Jessie a mud mower? Jessie's actually more the mud truck type, which is part of the reason why it is that over on RCG Racing, we will probably try to go and set up a little mud truck and maybe do a tough truck if we can get a hold of a cheap little Ranger to be able to set up for tough truck. Once all of this TP tuberculosis manages to pass over and everything, we're going to see what we can do to get a hold of a small car trailer. Jessie actually has a truck of her own. It's currently being used by a family member right now. And as soon as she gets her truck back, it's big enough that we could haul another truck the size of a full-size extended cab Ranger or something like that on a small car trailer. So at that point, we'll think about the situation. So guys, I've gone about 10 minutes past what I usually do at this point, and I'm going to end up calling this good. In just a few minutes, I'll answer the one or two questions that we got still kicking here. I think you guys just put a couple in. But we're at an hour and 10 minutes of talking. I usually only go an hour, and I'm definitely starting to feel it in my voice. because I try very hard to make sure I project to the mic so that you guys catch everything and I pronounce everything. So I'll answer the one or two more questions that look like they've come in, and we'll go from there. What we got going on? The insight on using blue Kevlar belts. Okay, so we already covered that one. And what about using a torque converter clutch on the motor? Yet again, that goes back to the whole cost of if you burn it out. And the other problem is you're talking ratings here. I mean, a torque converter clutch is a torque converter clutch. Most of them are only rated into like the 25 horsepower range, and I think there's a few that are rated into the 30 horsepower range. Now, yes, you could probably decide to use a torque converter off of, say, an ATV, or use a torque converter off of a snowmobile. A snowmobile torque converter is rated for about 50 to 60 horsepower. You could use something like that, or a CSV clutch off of a snowmobile or something like that. But my goal is to see what I can do with lawn tractor parts. Let's push the lawn tractor limits as far as we possibly can. That's part of the reason why it is that I'm very polite about Grind Hard Plumbing Co. and their Power Wheels build. They built Extremist. They built extreme Power Wheels, and I'm fine with that. I built Power Wheels that look as if they are actual vehicles. They look as if you wouldn't know until you start that engine that it's as modified as it is, and stuff like that. That was my goal. And respectfully, if I was going to go and do the lawn tractor drag racing the way I would prefer to do it, I would prefer to do it with as many actual honest to God lawn tractor parts as possible. That's the other reason why I would rather do a double Kevlar belt system. I'd like as close as possible to keep it to actual lawn tractor parts. That being said, going back to my earlier statement about world's fastest lawn tractor, I personally do not consider the Honda lawn tractor that they built, that they claim does 130 some odd miles per hour or whatever. I personally don't consider that to be the world's fastest. Personally, to me, the moment you stopped using an actual motor that would have been in a lawn tractor, it no longer was a lawn tractor. Personally, to me, the moment you decided to stop using a transmission that was originally inside of a lawn tractor, it stopped being a lawn tractor. Far as I'm concerned, they built a 130 mile per hour go-kart with a lawn tractor body on it. Far as I'm concerned, that's not a lawn tractor. I want to build a lawn tractor. That's my 2 cents on it. That's my respectful way of looking at it. And that's where I will go with my build when I decide to go and do it once this TP tuberculosis is over and done with. Let's see. I don't understand why people don't use the rear ends from the older Cubs. They use the same ring and pinion gear as Chrysler did in some of their cars. It will go as fast as you want to make it go. I don't really know what to say to that. What I do know is that the reason why it is I'm targeting using a Roper 633 is that a Roper 633 uses the same exact bolt pattern as a 14-inch Ford Ranger rim with a 5-bolt pattern. which is also the same thing as a lot of the 90s Mustangs also had, which means that I can get actual, honest to God, drag slicks that are made for a car in order to be able to fit onto it. And I can also be able to run aluminum rims and be able to dump the weight of the vehicle down, great, of the tractor down if I'm making a drag racing machine, or if I need the extra weight in the rear in order to compensate, I could run steelies, which would be stronger than a lawn tractor rim. It just presents a lot of other options for me. Now, if the Cub Cadet also has that option, then that would be great to know. I'm not a Cub Cadet person. Up here in Maine, we don't see Cub Cadets very often, especially anything that is later than about the early 90s. And the reason being is because up here in Maine, Cub Cadet just really never came up this way. We've got some older wheel horses. We've got some older wheel horses. Cub Cadets really didn't show up here until about the 90s. What's the other one that a lot of you guys like to talk about? Grizzlies, or yeah, Gravelies. Gravelies we don't see up here. There's a bunch of them that we just don't see up here because they just never came north. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about that stuff for me, unfortunately. Hi, old school. Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm about to go and sign out. Good timing. Um, so yeah, guys, I'm still here. Basically, unless something in the major infrastructure of Maine decides to fail, I will make sure that I'm going to do another live stream in a couple of weeks. If there's some major thing that ends up happening or something like that, I might end up deciding to go and do one next week, but most likely not. Most likely I'll wait the 2 weeks and we'll see what things look like around here. Hopefully all of you are weathering out the TP tuberculosis without too much of an issue. For those of you that have YouTube channels, so far this does not trigger YouTube's algorithm in order to go and kill your videos or to demonetize your videos. So please feel free to use this and feel free to pass on the term. So far, YouTube has not decided to kill it in the algorithms and in the robots that like to go and destroy our lives. So feel free to kick this up and post it anywhere that you like. Have fun, everybody. Stay out of trouble. As always, feel free to send me emails. And to those people who sent me emails with your mailing address, if I can manage to be able to send stuff out, I'll do it. That's a wrap.